Welcome to the Bountiful Chest, where I'm forcibly making myself in my hiatus. Uh, all right, oops. Already I've made a technical error. Ooh, that's bright. And that. Okay, so welcome back to the Bountiful Chest, and yeah, it's been a while. Uh, Part of making YouTube content is making yourself make YouTube content. So, take that as a note in case you ever want to get started on such, even if it's just about D&D, role-playing, whatever. So I've seen some people talk about a thing called oh the the DM shortage. You know, in the 90s there was a shortage of games and DMs and players depending on where you were, and you didn't know if you knew how to find them or not. Oftentimes people you know, they gathered around school clubs or game stores. It was the place to meet. Now people meet everywhere, but so I think there's a reason why there's something that can be termed the GM shortage or DM shortage, dungeon master shortage, whatever, however you want to term it. But this has kind of happened before. Uh, so late 90s, early aughts, role playing online was kind of in its infancy. Now it's in its current form, there's a whole heck of a lot of tools for playing D&D or other different tabletop role games online. But somewhere in the middle there, when and it doesn't matter if we're talking about 4E already being out, when 3.5 and Pathfinder 1E were the top two played games that, if you were looking at games people played, those were the two most people played, especially on the online circles for playing tabletop. Uh, but there was a period of time where no one was accepting new players, and no one was looking for new games. Or you might be looking for a new game, but you can't find one because no one's accepting anyone new. And kind of a doldrums era. And I, a friend of mine talked to me about it before. uh it was an odd phenomenon because it was in the rise of the popularity of the RPG horror story. So there was this whole social effect of people being worried, oh, if I play a game, I'm going to get into a bad game. If we bring someone new into the group, it's going to be it's going to turn into a horror story. And, I think we all get it. We don't want, we want to avoid the bad games. We want to avoid the bad experiences. Um, my advice to people looking to find a game, looking to find new members, looking to find a group, don't worry so much that you're going to have bad experiences. Learn from your bad experiences. It's like playing an online game, whether it's a shooter or something else, whatever you're matchmaking, you're going to end up in bad groups. You will end up in bad groups. And sometimes you just need to pay attention to knowing when it's better to take a hit from abandoning a group rather than just staying through a grueling process of mess. And I've, I find much that way with online role playing. I've been in quite a few bad games. There were good points in many of them, but there was a lot of bad players that now I know what to identify them as. Uh, Bad game runners, I know how to identify them. I know certain behaviors that I can identify. But even if you told me 100 stories, I probably wouldn't have picked up on it as well. Uh, just listening to it secondhand, people are, it's everyone's going to look for tiny details that make everyone the bad player. Sometimes you get to experience yourself and take some notes and learn some flags, and but I think a lot of this relates to what's happened to uh, the the current wave, the DM shortage. Uh, well, with the popularity of Critical Role, we've had what people, and even Matt Mercer himself hates that it's called the Matt Mercer effect. But you get people that watch Critical Role and they think every game has to be like Critical Role. And if it's not, it's somehow terrible. Not that these players are up to the level of some of the players in Critical Role. Oh, don't tell them that. They'll be very upset with you. Uh, but not everyone should play the same as Matt. Matt doesn't even think people should play the same as him. And, you know, everyone's a different DM. Everyone DMs a different style of game. Uh, some people are versatile in the style of game they can DM. Some people are really good at a certain type of game. Uh, and sometimes you have to find your niche, you have to find your group. But a lot of people are a little, frightened away from being the person to run the game because, obviously they're worried they're going to get told they're just bad because they, they didn't emulate someone else. You shouldn't have to emulate someone else. Of course, there's a lot of people that they want to start, but they don't know where to, or they're afraid to because, again, all this piles on and you don't want to try. But I'm going to tell you, if you have an inkling that you want to try ever, do it. And starting out, you have the most tools available to you since the beginning of the hobby. Because, there's all sorts of YouTubers that go over how to play a game, how to organize a game, how to plan your game, how to handle all sorts of different situations. We have, you know, search D&D Dungeon Master tips on YouTube, and I'm sure you will find no end of videos that aren't even just from the popular, like Dungeon Dudes, Matt Colville, and whoever else. So there's all sorts of tools there available to you. Um, there's all all the battle maps online, all sorts. There's a million different tools. There's so many virtual tabletops out there now. You have a plethora of tools that, starting back in second edition, I had the starter box with a mat and some character cards. Who wants to play D? Oh, that was great. It had a CD too that had sound sequences to go with certain events. That was actually a really nicely set up starter kit. I wish someone would do that for a starter adventure again. Uh, so okay. And if you're worried about becoming the forever DM, find out who else wants to see how it works behind the screen. And in fact, what I know one long running group that one of the things they did, because one guy felt a bit forever DM in their group, I guess, but they made a homebrew system off the bones of more than one edition of D&D, and at one point they switched who was DMing, so DM gets to play a character. You know, they make new characters for a side adventure that's eventually going to link into the main adventure, but someone else is running it. So they've each taken turns. While they have their primary DM, they each get a turn to fill out this world and create an adventure. And that's great because it, you know, especially if you're starting out with a group that's starting out, uh, you know, and someone else runs a, you know, a different adventure, uh, and maybe someone else, oh, can I take a turn in the seat? And soon you're getting a round robin of everyone taking a turn, running a different adventure in a different area and with different characters that might end up affecting the story of each other. And it's, you know, it's a gorgeous idea. Uh, Now, apparently, this idea of a uh, DM shortage was also used as a bit of marketing by Wizards of the Coast because, oh, well, we're going to make these AI DMs for you. Now, I think I have a video on here about how I feel about AI DMs. I think that tech is something that's going to take a lot of input to perfect. You know, especially when it's easy for AI to create up things that have not just no bearing on any reality when you ask it a question about, hey, is this a real thing? Oh, sure, I'll just make something up. The AI illusion. Uh, no, there's a lot of work that would have to go into that, and a lot of feedback that would have to come back to it, so that you know you don't end up, you know, five people in an AI game and one person knows all the passphrases that allow them to cheat the system. But, you know, yeah, well, there's not enough DMs. There's so many players. So we'll just create a robot for you. You know, you might as well just reprint the old D&D's Choose Your Own Adventure books. I know I had some of those somewhere. I hope I can find them. They were neat. But you know, I'm sad to see that there's a shortage of DMs, and if if there really is, um, I think a lot of people want to run a game, maybe not strictly D&D. That might be another roadblock in that. Oh, would you like to play a game? Oh, sure, you run D&D. Well, no. I mean, I have a bookshelf full of books that aren't D&D. Uh Palladium's a crunchy system though. I So is 3.5 and I still enjoy that one. Um but you know, all we can do in a shortage of players or DMs is just to encourage people to try the hobby and see how things go. You know, run a one shot and maybe that'll suddenly turn into a two shot because you planned time poorly and had to break it in half. And then suddenly everyone's like, you know, I'd really like to do something else with this character. And suddenly you've been wrangled into running a third day of adventure, and it goes on. That's how game groups get formed. Anyways, I think that's it for me. I hope to post regularly this month and hopefully next month and into the next year. Uh, but if there's anything you'd like me to cover, any recent topics you've heard, or just something in role playing you want to ask about, just leave a comment down below, and I'll see y'all later.